Hello and welcome. It's so great to see each and every one of you again. We're doing a lot of things down here in Lexington without any makeup, so this is the real me. But I'm going to share with you an interview I did with my granddaughter the other day before she went on a cruise with her friends. She just graduated from college, and I'm down here to help her celebrate that wonderful event. And we tried to do the video one time, and we were all in makeup and all dressed up. She had just come from church. But there was so much wind, it was really messed up our microphones, and it was awful. So then we just decided to just go for it impromptu. And the next day when she came home from work, she hopped in the shower and she was going to be going out with her friends a little later on. So I grabbed her and we did a short interview without makeup, without great lighting. My bra strap kept showing in my dress, and I tried to keep trying to arrange it, but it never happened. So this is a very natural, impromptu interview with a Gen Zer and her OG grandma, who is 86 and she is 22. I hope you really enjoyed this video. She texts me hearts. I send her kisses. She teaches trends. I teach her grace. We're different stars, but share one space. No matter the fashion, the slang, or the style, her hug is forever. Her laugh always makes me smile and my heart sing. Granddaughters are diamonds in our crowns. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a very exciting video for me today because I am here with my granddaughter in Lexington. McLean is 22. She just graduated from college and she'll be flying the nest soon. So I thought I'd better grab her before she gets away from me. We tried this the other day in the wind, and our microphones were so messed up that we decided we're going to have to do a redo today. So McLean, thank you for being here. It's so wonderful to have you. And I wanted to ask you a few questions, and maybe you have a few questions for me that you would like to ask me. But basically, I'm going to ask you some different questions than I did the last time because I want it to be fresh.
Okay.
Okay, if I was 22 today, what advice would you give to your old Nana?
Oh, man. I would say don't worry about what other people have to say. With the rise of technology and the increase of use of social media, a lot of people worry about how their life compares to their other people's lives or what people say about them on the internet. And I just feel like keep yourself to yourself and know that your values are deeper than what someone else is saying about you. And just to stay true to yourself no matter what.
I think that's great advice. I really do. Okay, the next question I am going to ask you is, things are so tough today. Times are so very different from when I was growing up in the 50s. What scares you most today about the future?
Yeah, I think, honestly, what scares me the most is not knowing what the future holds or what's going to come in your future. I can plan my life out exactly how I want it to be. I can have a schedule of every single day that I live, but I have no idea if any of that's actually going to happen. And whether it happens, I have no idea how long it'll happen for. So you can have a job and it could be over tomorrow. You could be fired tomorrow. So not knowing like what the future holds is very hard to kind of grasp and accept. But when you just trust the Lord's plan that He knows what's best for you and has the best plan for your life, then that is, I think, the most important. But not knowing what the future holds is definitely the scariest thing for me.
Do you have anything to ask me?
Oh, of course I do.
Okay.
This is less serious than that
that's all right.
question.
No, that's okay.
But did you ever sneak out or do anything rebellious back in your day?
Oh, wow. Do you know, when I grew up, we really listened to our parents, and our parents ruled the house, and I know my father did. Actually, I honestly never lied to my parents. One time, my cousin who lived next door, and she was about 3 years older than I was, and she had a blind date and a date with this guy, and he wanted to bring a friend. So she said, "Oh, Sandra, come on. You could just sneak out of the house and we'll go on a date and your dad won't know, you can sneak in at night." But I really never ever lied to my parents. My father really ruled the roost, but I wasn't too much afraid of that. It's just that I just had pretty good morals, and I knew that I could not do that to my parents.
Yeah.
So I said, "No, thank you," and I went to bed early.
Nana and I are very similar because I never snuck out. I never did any of that. My brother, on the other hand,
It's a little
he was a little different, but I was never. I was the rule follower and did all the things. So Nana and I are very similar.
Yeah, well, thank heavens. Because today I know it's a lot different, and sometimes the kids rule the parents, and
Yeah,
they tell the
I know.
parents what to do, and I think that's really...
My mom always said, "I'm your mother, not your friend."
Yeah.
So that's
that's good. Oh, she learned maybe from me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't want to take credit for that at all. Everybody, I get so many comments from young people, especially saying, "Oh, I want to be happy. How can I find happiness?" But happiness is a lot of different things.
Oh, for sure.
And your idea, how do you explain happiness? Or if you were to really explain it for now, what is your version of happiness today at 22?
Yeah, I think right now, happiness in my life forever would be a happy family, a loving family, happy, healthy kids, loving kids, a good relationship with Jesus, and being in a good church, and just surrounded by friends and family. I don't care so much about how much money you make. I want to have enough money to care for the people that I care about.
Sure.
But I don't care about having the flashy car or the flashy house, or if I was had all those nice things and was miserable, that would just be, I would hate that. So I would rather be simple, but with the people that I love and stuff filled with love in my home, and that's happiness.
That is absolutely so true, because we never know what goes behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
When I was living in New Jersey, and I lost my husband, he was killed, and I was a single mother with 3 children. There was a family up at the end of the street, and her husband was so wonderful. He would take Emerson and his boys, because they had all boys and 1 girl. They'd take them skiing, and he was helping him with Boy Scouts. And I used to look at that family with such envy, and I said, oh, how wonderful it is. How great to have a family like that, and gee, feeling sorry for myself that I didn't have it. Then one day, years later, I was in the AMP going shopping, and I happened to see her in the parking lot, and she came over to me and hugged me, and she started crying, and I said, what's the matter? She said, "I left my husband."
Oh, wow.
And it turns out that she was so terribly unhappy because her husband was always going places with his man friends and with the boys and leaving her alone. And she didn't have a family life at all.
Wow. Yeah, that's...
So what I was envying all those years never was.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
So it's almost like social media today. When you go on social media, everybody is beautiful. They've got, this beautiful skin and these clothes and designer outfits and beautiful figures and the big, beautiful home. And how much of that, how much of your life is ruled by social media? Or maybe of your generation?
My generation is 100% ruled by social media. I don't think there's not a shadow of doubt that is the case. And I think that's why like depression rates have skyrocketed, anxiety has skyrocketed. I think social interactions with people have decreased.
It's probably almost nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, hardly anything. And I think it's all because of social media, people who are hiding behind screens and texting whatever they want, or the constant comparison to someone else because you have it at the tips of your fingertips to just go look at whoever, or see when you're scrolling, you can see what other people are like, and you think that your life is supposed to look like that when, quite frankly, you have no idea what they're going through or what is happening to them.
It's all fake. I mean, not all of it, but I would say probably 99% of it that you see on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
It's absolutely mostly all fake. And something happened to me. I'll just have to tell. I think I told you this morning. I got a comment from one of my viewers who said that an AI version of me is on TikTok, and I'm promoting some type of language interpreter or something, some kind of language skill that you can use. But it's not me, folks. You know, it's absolutely not me. But it's so scary what can happen on the internet. You could get bullied, you could get ghosted.
Yeah.
And it's a scary time, I think. I really wouldn't want to be out there today and be your age.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And I think like with cell phones too, that makes people insecure is like, not only do they have the constant comparison to someone else, but I don't think that we were made to look at ourselves as much as we look at ourselves.
Absolutely.
Like whether it be a mirror or not, but we have our phones who, like Snapchat, my age, that's a huge thing. People are, to answer your friends, you usually take a picture, like whatever, take a picture of yourself. But you constantly are looking at yourself, so you're pointing out every flaw that you see, and you're constantly finding something new about yourself that you don't like, because we're just looking at ourselves all the time. And I just don't think that was...
I never thought about that, but that is true.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true. My gosh, that's kind of depressing.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have anything you want to ask your Nana?
Yes, of course. What life lesson took you the longest to learn? A little more serious question than my last.
Okay. All right, well, I can answer that right away, and that's relationships. I really didn't have the background in my life. My parents were of the Victorian age. I know they loved me, but they were very short on hugs, very short on saying, oh, I love you, you're special, you're absolutely wonderful. So I guess their deeds made me realize they loved me, but their actions, and I didn't get all that cuddly stuff from my father. So when I went out into the world, I really didn't have the relationship skills that I should have had. You know, between, I think a father's relationship with her daughter is one of the most valuable and impressive relationships in her life.
I agree, yeah.
Because he is the role model of how she feels about herself and how she feels she deserves whenever she chooses a partner.
Yes.
And if you don't have those skills and you don't have your background, you wind up like me, who when I, just took whatever came along, and if the chemistry was right and I felt I loved the person, I'd say, okay, it's all right, we'll get married.
Yeah.
But I never really thought about, is he going to be a good father? Is he going to be a good provider? Will he be there with me through thick or thin and sickness and health?
Right.
And down the road, can we walk hand in hand in the sunset together? I just never thought about that. So it took me, my second husband was killed, so it took me 3 times. So third time's the charm.
That's what they say.
and McLean knows Arthur, and he was a good person, and it was the 40 years of feeling secure and feeling I made the right choice.
Yeah.
Arthur so it took me a while, but that's probably what I would say to young women out there, and even young men. Have your parent, I hopefully will be a role model for the type of woman that you choose in your life, and the type of woman maybe you don't want, and the type of man that you want to spend the rest of your life with, a partner.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably one of the most important things, because companionship is really important.
Yeah.
To a person's longevity and happiness.
I agree, yeah. Well, then my next question kind of flows into that. What was dating like in the 50s and 60s and all that stuff? Do you think it was better then, better now? What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think it was because we dated people that we knew or that
Yeah.
our friends knew.
Right.
So it wasn't this person on the internet and who said he was something and then you find out he's not what he says he is.
Yeah.
But no, because when I lived in the small town, it was a small industrial town in Ohio, we had a YMCA, and on Saturdays in the basement, they had a dance floor so that the records would spin. So we would all go on Saturday night, and the girls would stand on one side, and the guys would stand on the other. And we girls couldn't ask in those days. You wouldn't ask a boy to dance. He had
Right.
to ask you.
Right.
But anyway, that's how we met people. We knew people.
Yeah.
You know, not only from school, but we had friends who had friends. So it wasn't an internet situation where everything was iffy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like a one-on-one meeting because you know the background of the person
Yeah.
that you're with. I think it's pretty scary today. I wouldn't want to be dating, to be honest
Oh
with
gosh,
you.
no. Yeah, I know. And that's the thing, like, when you said the guys had to ask the girls, nowadays the guys are like, oh, I think girls should make the first move. But I personally don't agree with that. I think the guys should make the first move. And then like you said, the internet, there's like all these dating apps and stuff now that just take over. Like, you think you're with some person because they can write whatever they want on their profile, and then you meet them and you're like, well, maybe not.
It's not true.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really not true. I was thinking of something that completely slipped my mind. But no, I think one-on-one meetings is safest and it's the best. And I certainly wouldn't want to be out in the dating scene today because you never know what's behind that picture
Right.
on Tinder or
Right,
whatever
right.
thing people are on.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
anyway, so that's it. Do you think that you and I, even though we share the same DNA, a little bit of the same DNA, do you think you and I as women have something in common? You're 22, I'm 86. There's a wide, cavernous
Yeah.
beyond.
No, I definitely think that we're similar. Like I said before, I didn't sneak out, she didn't sneak out. We're rule followers. And I think we're both just very confident in ourselves, whether that is something that we had to work to get, to gain confidence, or if it's something that we've just always had. But we're definitely both very confident and secure in ourselves and our relationship with the Lord. And I think it's all it all stems from that.
We had dogs here, in case you're wondering what all those noises are around there. But they're all sweet, very, very nice dogs. Yes, that's very interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Is there anything that you think people in my generation, or even in your mother's generation, in the 50s, who are in the 50s or 60-year-olds, don't really understand it about Gen Zers at all? Is there anything you can think of that might be?
I don't know if there's... I think this is gonna make my generation sound so terrible, but I think people were so hardworking in the generations, and I think work ethics are slowly dying off. And like I said, that makes my generation sound terrible, but it's the truth. And I think some people may not necessarily that they don't understand, but it's very different from the 50s and 60s than it is now. Everyone back then was working, and nowadays I feel like we just don't work that much.
Well, people don't want to go into the office. They want to have a 4-day work week.
Yeah.
They want to make $1 million on their first job. They don't want to maybe work for what they can achieve. They just want it handed to them on a silver plate. I noticed that. What do you think about the fact that maybe men are becoming more feminine and emasculated?
Yeah. I don't think that they necessarily are. I think what people consider like the nice guy they want someone who's like not as nice, someone who's Charlie.
This is Charlie. He's a beautiful golden
yeah.
retriever rescue.
Yeah, get her.
Oh, okay. Come on, don't.
Chili.
Stop it.
Come here, Charlie. Around the
Okay.
table. There you go. But I think what the qualities of a nice guy are less masculine to people nowadays because they just don't know what a good guy is. I feel like it's so rare now. And so when someone brings them flowers or opens the door for them all the time or just compliments them or whatever a good guy would do, they think that like, oh, well, that's not, I don't necessarily want that. Like, that's kind of,
You figure, I can do it myself.
right, yeah, because I mean, I fall guilty to that all the time. I'm very independent. And so it's so funny, like, they always, like, the saying nowadays, I feel like, is like, the good guy loses, or the good guy always loses, or something like that.
Yeah.
Because it's like the good guy, or the bad guys who will ghost you, will give you all kinds of attention every once in a while, and then ghost you randomly. But then when they come back, you're, like, waiting there at their beck and call.
Yeah.
And so I think that has become a huge thing, like, the good guy always comes in last, or something like that.
You know, when I go on the internet or when I see kids, of course in South Beach, everything is so casual. They're always wearing the tights and the tops, the exercise tops.
Yeah.
But is there anything, when you look back in fashion, say, well, and not in the 50s, that's really 50s, 60s, 70s, or anything in the fashion in my day that maybe the young people of your generation might embrace or like, or you might?
Yeah. I think flare pants, I don't even know what generation or what year that was.
I think that was the 70s,
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
So I know flare pants came back really popular a couple years ago, and there's still a lot of people that wear them. I still have like 2 or 3 pairs in my closet that I don't want to get rid of because I want to hold on to them, and you never know when I might wear them again. But so flare pants were for sure. I like the big poofy hair vibe that went on.
Yeah.
What, in the 80s and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Was it? Yeah, the 80s.
You and I had hair similar, so
curly
we were really,
hair. Yeah,
we were really
it gets poofy naturally. Yeah.
And I can show you some pictures of me with this hair all over the place, you know.
I love that vibe. I don't know why, but it definitely.
Well, you have the hair for it.
Yeah. So I think those two, and like, I think fashion was way better back in the day than it is now. I think just the sense, I like business casual. Like whenever I go in the office, I like my outfits that I wear.
What do you wear? For instance, when you go into the office and you're going, I'm not going to say where she's going, but she has a fantastic job because she graduated with honors. She's so smart. I'm so proud of her.
Thank you.
And so she's going to a very prestigious company and have a wonderful, wonderful job, but she will be going somewhere else.
Yeah.
But what do you envision yourself wearing when you go into the office?
Yeah, so typically I'll wear like a pair of dress pants. I like the ones that are kind of not skinny, but they're
slim,
like
Taylor.
slim. Yeah. And then I'll wear like a pair of loafers or a pair of mules or whatever. And then just like a cute work top, or some days I'll wear like a bodysuit and then put a blazer over top if it's colder outside, or just a dress. So I'm pretty.
Do you ever wear any kind of heel?
I need to get into more heels. I only have I have like 4 or 5 pair, which is kind of a lot for heels. But they're all just black, nude, or gold. So I think because I like accent
And
kind
she's
of.
tall. How tall
Yeah,
are you?
I'm 5'10". So with heels,
You're
I'm
6
like
foot.
6 foot, 6'1". Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm more of like an accent kind of fashion that I like. So big coats that kind of make the outfit, but they're not the outfit. Or like I have all kinds of shoes that are just pops of color so that I can wear
What about jewelry?
with my outfit. I do love jewelry. And so like or purses or something like that that's not the outfit, but it makes
It's
the
an
outfit.
accessory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my kind of fashion that I like.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Anything you want to ask?
Yes, of
McLean
course.
else?
What advice would you give to your 22-year-old self?
Have more self-confidence. I didn't have enough self-confidence, and believe it or not, what taught me self-confidence was hitting the roadblocks in life. Hitting those valleys that I thought I would never get out of and say, God, why me? But being able to know that I could get up off of my knees, dust them off, and get on with my life, and know that I had a higher power that was sitting on my shoulder.
Right.
It was going to give me the strength to get through whatever I was facing. And believe me, I've had valleys so deep that I thought I was never going to be able to crawl out of them and my life was finished, but it wasn't. There are so many different chapters that you will have in your life. I think about every 10 years in my adult life, I've had a new chapter. I've morphed and I've either done something else or went in a different direction, but I've had many chapters in my life that each were fulfilling. They were right for me at the right time. And it's so exciting because even now at 86, I pray that God blesses me so that I can hit 90.
I hope so.
So I'm hoping that even that next chapter at 90 will open up maybe something else for me that's more exciting, because I never thought at my age in the 80s that I would be doing this.
Yeah.
So it's never over until it's over.
Right. Yeah. Never.
Yeah. So how do you envision yourself maybe by the time you're 50? What do you see in the future maybe, or what you would like to see in your future, career-wise, family-wise, life-wise?
Yeah. I hope that I'm married with children by then. I hope that I am surrounded by friends and family. I hope that I'm doing well in my career. I hope I'm still living where I'm going to be living. I won't share that like she said. But I really love the area, so I hope that I will still be in that area. And if something happens and I don't love it, then I hope I'm somewhere that I do love. So I just hope that I'm always surrounded by friends and family and people that I love, and a family and kids and a husband that loves me, and yeah, that's there.
Oh, that's
I think
wonderful.
I see myself.
Well, this has been such a pleasure for me. At the first time around, we didn't know whether we were going to be able to get together. And she's so busy. She has about 10 jobs. She's going in and out with plus her social life. You're busy.
I know,
girl.
I am
very lucky.
very busy. I thought once I graduated that my kind of life would slow down and pause, but it seems like I'm having less time than I did now when I was a college student.
I know, but you're packing it all in before you head out and leave your mother with an empty nest.
Yeah.
But so it's been so wonderful, McLean.
No,
I love
I've enjoyed
you
it.
very
I love
much.
you too. Yeah.
And I'm so proud of you. And if all of you mothers or grandmothers out there, you know how you feel about your own grandchildren. Well, I feel the same about mine. So thank you for spending time with me.
You're welcome. Thanks
And
for having me.
I came all the way down here just for you.
Honored. Yeah.
Okay, thank you again, and thank you everyone for watching this. And please know, wherever you are in the world, you are never, never alone, because we love you and we have your back, and you are always in our prayers. Take care, and I hope to see you next week for another video.